Hello, it's Sandy with Trinity Stamps, and today I have a card featuring a couple of the new items that were released this month. I am using the egg-shaped card die set along with the Egg-ceptional sentiments. This card just totally cracks me up. It's a little bit of a break from an Easter card, and it would be just a cute little cheer me up card for any time of the year. All right, let's get started. I'm using the egg-shaped card die set for this particular card. From white cardstock, I am going to cut out the largest egg shape, and then that bright blue cardstock I'm going to use for the base of my card. In the die set, there are some dies that actually create the cracked or the broken part of the egg. So I'm going to use one of those. I'm going to place it at the top of my egg, take that down, and then run just that egg part through my die cutter. Now that I have my two pieces cut, I want to do a little bit of shading on that egg just to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm using tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink to do the shading around the egg. So I'm going to use my little Sidekick blending brush, and I'm just going to lightly dust some of that color all the way around the outside edge of that egg. And then I also want to make sure that I dust up the crack on both sides of that egg. That's just going to help give it a little bit of definition. I found that the easiest way to get this egg applied to the card base was to flip it over and tape those two pieces together on the back of the card. I had initially tried doing the two pieces separate, and I just wasn't getting a nice clean lineup, and it wasn't even all the way around. So I'm just going to tape those together with a little bit of mint tape, and then I will go ahead and use liquid glue to adhere that egg to the card base. Now, I thought it would be fun to have a very scholarly looking egg. So I used the glasses die set from the Sunshine die set, and I cut out 4 of those glasses frames because I wanted to give them a little bit of dimension. I wanted them to pop up just a little bit on that card. I had actually thought about adding in some acetate lenses, and I was afraid that was kind of detract from the little eyes that are going to go on the inside. So I just went ahead, glued those together, and left them open. To figure out where I wanted the glasses on that little face, I had to kind of decide where I wanted to put the sentiment. Unfortunately, I didn't have my stamps handy, but I did have the dies, so I went ahead and just kind of goofed around with those, figured out where they would look best to help me get a good idea of where I wanted to place those glasses. I definitely didn't want to cover up the crack, but I didn't want them too far down on the face either. Now that my glasses are adhered to my little egg, I need to put his little eyeballs in. Generally, when I'm using small pieces or die cut pieces, I like to put a little bit of rip and stick on the back of my cardstock and then die cut my little pieces. To me, that just makes it so much easier to put those pieces together without having a lot of glue issues. So right here, I've got my eyes already created. I am going to use a little bit of liquid glue on top of that rip and stick, just because that does give me a little bit of wiggle room to move those around before I really press them down and make them permanent. For his mouth and his little band-aids, I used just plain white cardstock with the rip and stick on the back, and I colored the cardstock with my markers. That's the best way to get a small piece of cardstock that actually is the color that you're looking for. So I colored those in and then I cut them out. Now the little mouth is a 2-piece die set, and so I colored the top of his mouth with some gray marker, and then I matched the inside of his mouth with the little band-aids that are going on the top of his head where that crack is. These arms are very thin and fragile, so I still have the rip and stick on the back, but I still need them to be a little bit movable. So I'm just going to put the slightest amount of glue on the back of those little arms and get those applied to the body of the egg. For the inside of this card, I have another piece of white cardstock cut with the largest egg from that die set. I am going to use the new Egg-ceptional sentiments to line up the wording for the inside of my card. There are a bunch of fun little phrases and words that you can combine together to make just the cutest little sentiments. And the one that I chose for this one, I just felt like it just totally tied the whole card together. For the outside sentiment, I'm using the same stamp set, but this time I am going to heat emboss them and cut them out using the coordinating dies. So I'm going to put this in my MISTI. I'll go ahead and dust my cardstock, which is kind of a dark pink. It looks a little bit more orange in the video. I'll go ahead, dust that off, lay out my words. It doesn't matter where I put them on my cardstock, and go ahead and get those stamped with some Versamark watermark ink. Now that I have my words embossed, I'm going to go ahead and use the coordinating dies to cut out those little words. I'm just going to stick them down with some mint tape after I line up that die and then run it through my die cutting machine. When I applied the little words to the front of my card, I didn't spend a lot of time trying to line them up or make them straight or anything like that. I just wanted them kind of scattered, a little bit cattywampus, just to kind of give it that crazy whimsical feeling. To finish up the card, I'm going to use some liquid glue just to adhere that inside egg to the base of the card. And that pretty much does it for this particular card. This card just cracks me up. I think it is so cute and so funny. And it would just be a perfect, little cheer me up card. Thank you for spending time with me today on the Trinity Stamps channel. You might want to consider subscribing to the channel for more Trinity inspiration. You can also hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when any of our designers upload some new inspiration. All the Trinity products are listed down below, so you can just jump right over to that shop anytime you want. Thanks again, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.